Hello everybody. In this video, I'll be sharing downloaded information about food. We will be talking about how our relationship with food is changing as we're going through our ascension process, what's happening there, why we're going through these changes, why are we suddenly craving meat, or why are we suddenly craving vegetarian and raw. Why do we know that we want raw and vegetarian, but right now our body's asking us for dense and cooked or meat food? What's going on there? We're going to talk a bit about the changes and the process that you may be feeling, the roller coaster ride of this ebb and flow of the fluctuation of your diet. We will be talking about food and frequency and how that relates to the energetics of the ascension process. And we will be talking about why this is happening. For example, if we're going through physical ailments to help us ground, avoidancy habits, etc. And then we're going to look at the future of food, so where we will be heading towards as we are more anchoring into our new bodies, what type of diet we are going towards, and what type of relationship we are building with our food, thus with Mother Earth, with nature, and what type of relationship we'll be having with farming. All right. So thank you so much for joining me here today, and let's get started. Okay, the ascension process. If this is the first time you're seeing my videos, for me it's very handy to write everything down so that my flow stays focused. As I make these videos, I tend to feel the people watching it in the future timelines, and then I get sometimes a little distracted, so this keeps me on point. The ascension process. So just to talk about the ascension process, which most of us already know about, this is a time of surrendering, a time of totally, utterly letting go. It is asking us to surrender and let go to ourselves, to the world, to surrender and let go of all that we know, to let go of all truth that we thought is true, and at the same time to know our truth at every moment and every time, to as we know our truth every minute, be able to be flexible that tomorrow or an hour later our truth may change, and understanding that each moment was not that we were believing in false truths or we were wrong, but it is just a mere stepping stone to your next truth, right? It is like being getting the certification for the next class, the next level, right? It is also asking us during this ascension process to let go of judgment of ourselves, let go of judgment of others, so that we can truly embody who we are, who we truly want to be, who we already are, so we can fit into our purpose. And that is got to do with letting go of judgment and restrictions that we put onto ourselves, and also that we have been taught through programming all of our life. So this ascension process is really undoing all these programmings, all these limited thought patterns that we have that has been embedded in us through, in decades. So it's quite the process. So aho to all of you going through it, and be proud of yourself at every moment. It's not the most beautiful process. If you look at it, it's quite a crazy, ugly process, but at the end it's all amazing and beautiful, and you in between there are these amazing moments where you know you're on the right path, but we have to go through the darkness to get to the light. Okay. Yes, the ascension process is also asking us to let go of boxes, let go of boxes that I am this person, or I am a yoga teacher, or I am a this, I am a that. We just are, and we are vehicles and channels of full expression of the divine, of higher sources, and we paint that in our particular unique color. Right? So letting go of these boxes that I am a mother, I am this, I am that. No, we are able to be whoever we want to be at any given moment in time, letting go of restriction and limitation. Why do I mention this? Because this is what we want to do with food as well. As we're going through the ascension process, we're looking at every aspect of our life, and how to integrate all of this letting go with our ego, our relationship with others, with ourselves, with the masculine, with the feminine, etc., etc., as well as with food. So with food, we want to let go of boxes. A meat eater, a vegetarian, a vegan, and I don't mean any disrespect out there, I really don't, but it would be beneficial to let go of those boxes and restrictions, because we are just humans eating, and those are other boxes to fit ourselves in, right? And we can't be in one box, oh, I'm a meat eater, so I will judge the vegetarians, and be in another box, well, I'm vegan, I'm going to judge the vegetarians and the meat eaters. We want to have compassion. Everybody is on their own unique path. Everybody has a different physical body. Everybody has different things that they're going through. So it would be beneficial to come with love and compassion and understanding for where each person is at, and respect their choices, respect where they're at. And not feeling bad what works for us, right? Not having to hide our health or our food dietary plans, and not being ashamed of that, as well as not giving judgment. And we can only be ashamed of it, of how we eat, if we're still judging. That might be something to think about. So I'm not trying to step on any toes there, but it is what has been coming through. So just letting go of that. Then food and frequency. So as we are going through this ascension process, we are raising our vibration, we are raising our frequency. I speak about this in the first video. I'll put a link on the bottom where I explain a little bit about the event and the different dimension in the ascension process. So as we're raising our frequency, everything that is around us, we start to attract the same frequency, or we start to crave the same frequency as we're raising our frequency, and that's what we want. So that's how we see that our relationship with different friends, family, the things we own, the place where we live may change, because our frequency doesn't match that frequency anymore. We are pulled to another place or another situation, and we're also being pulled to different foods. As we raise our frequency, we start to relate to food differently. We start to crave food. We may look into the fridge, and there may be a fridge full of different food, processed food, meats, etc. And we may only crave the most alive food, the most raw food, the most high vibrational food that is matching our vibration. That doesn't mean that you're always doing this, because we're going through an ascension process. The ascension process is messy. It is an up and down roller coaster ride, and thus while we are going on these up and downs of this roller coaster ride, because there are moments when we're dealing with high frequencies, and then moments when we're releasing and healing really dense, more physical, on the material plane frequencies, and it's just this type of roller coaster ride. So everything that's happening and what we're relating to in life, including food, will join us on this roller coaster ride. For one day you may need meat, and the next day you may be eating vegan and vegetarian, and maybe one week you're eating absolute raw food, and the next week you're fasting with water. And it will, for some of us, we may have found our straight line already, but this is, as we're going through the ascension process, this will be the roller coaster ride of it, and that's okay. And to let go and surrender to that, to not hold judgment to that. And we will talk a little bit more in the next sections why this is happening in more detail. But this is just an overall view quickly. So food in the ascension process, as we're going through these different frequencies, raising our vibration, we'll see that our relationship with food will change. We will have more insight, more feelings, more understanding. But again, we're going through that roller coaster ride, so maybe we just aren't there yet. And what I have received is when the ascension process starts to balance out more, the frequencies will change, especially after the event. Our dietary ways of eating will become a straight line, and there won't be this up and down. As we're doing this whole up and down process during the ascension on an emotional level, food level, many levels, this is all releasing and healing every time, releasing the pains or the stories or the traumas that are connected to that. Whether we're conscious or unconscious of the further information, it doesn't matter. That's why we just need to surrender and let go and know that this is just part of the process, and trust, just trust. So about trusting is, number one, our body is a vehicle, right? It is the car, the rent-a-car that we have, that has been given to us in this dimension. And this rent-a-car, this vehicle, we want to take care of it, right? And each vehicle has its own little function of way of functioning. For example, one vehicle you may have to change the oil 1,000 miles earlier, and the other vehicle 1,000 miles later. And then even if you have a duplicate of the same vehicle, you have two, WV minis. When you own one, your particular one works differently. Sometimes someone has a special one. You got to bash the dashboard for a second, and the lights come on, or something like this. So we too are very unique in our own ways. We too have a very special vehicle. And the fuel that we need for our vehicle will be unique. Everybody will be different and unique. So when we're looking at diets and about books that people have written, ketogenic diet, this type of diet, etc. diet, that's what worked for that person who wrote that book, and that opinion, and that body type, and that blood type. This may not fully relate to everybody. This may not fully relate to you. Maybe 50%, 10%, 20% of what they have in that book may relate to your specific needs, your specific body, your uniqueness. So, don't follow what everybody else does, but find your truth within all this amazing information that is out there, and always ask yourself. Which brings me to the second point, is body intelligence. Our body is so intelligent, is so amazing. Our body knows best than our conscious mind what it really needs. We can connect to our unconscious mind of our higher self and our body to see what we need, and the mind of our body. So when we, make a cut, our body is healing that cut, sending the cells to heal that area, making a scar, and doing that all by itself. And me as a conscious person, I didn't have to put effort to make that happen, because my body and each and every individual cell and atom that makes me always wants the best for me, loves me unconditionally, and always wants me to survive. That's how amazing our body is. So let us be able to trust our body intelligence, which brings me to the next thing, body cravings. When our body is craving a certain food, and I don't mean we're craving McDonald's or chocolate or a burger, but I mean when our body's just like, I just really, those times I just really want a bowl of greens, or I just really want to eat like a whole plate of spinach. I just really want a bunch of mushrooms. That's all I want for dinner. Or just mangoes. So listen to that. That is your body intelligence. That is your unconscious mind speaking to you. That is the spirit of your physical body speaking to you right there, what it needs, because our body is so smart. I notice oftenly that I will crave different foods, like, I need spinach and I was lacking in iron, or I'm needing a sweet potato and guided to eat that because my spleen was doing a lot of releasing, and that relates to that. Or I'm wanting a lot of greens because actually there's a lot of releasing physically or emotionally in my liver, etc. So listen to that, and that goes the same with herbs and supplements and teas and all of that. Supplements shouldn't be a daily thing. Supplements and certain herbs is you take it for a certain amount of time, and that's when it's medicine. Once we're taking every day, our body's getting used to it, and that's not the way. Every day our body may crave, oh, today I need royal jelly, and tomorrow my body is saying, hey, moringa, and the next day it's spirulina, and maybe it's spirulina for 2 weeks, 2 months, a year, and then it's not. So really check in with your body and get the conscious mind, the structural mind, the out of the way, so we can connect to the unconscious mind, our connection to spirit, to higher source, and see what our body intelligence is telling us. And we can use our meditation. We can take a moment before eating and ask ourselves, what does my body want right now? And what about now? And it could change from hour to hour, from day to day, from month to month, year to year. So yeah, surrender. Let's have a look. This is from the old that I already moved over here. So changes and the process. So again, we're going through a great change. We're going through a process, and it's a crazy roller coaster ride. So the changes we may be noticing is you may be vegan or vegetarian all your life, or have been recently, and now you're suddenly craving meat. What happens there? We could feel really guilty. Craving meat, we could be ashamed, hiding it, not telling anybody. We could be really confused. We could be feeling really, really weak, and our body is craving this meat. It's okay. It's okay to crave the meat. So what's happening here, this is, and I'll speak a little bit about this more in the next section, but our body is craving meat because that's what we are releasing and healing at that moment in time, which is either something on the physical plane or more materialistic, or more on the lower chakras emotionally. And so we want to listen to that. If our body's craving that, that's what we want to give it. People who are dealing with physical ailments, with great sicknesses or broken bones, cancer, tumors, whatsoever, you're going to be needing more dense food, which could be cooked food, which could be meat, because you're dealing with denser stuff. Remember, the frequency as where you're at is the fuel, the frequency or the food that your body is needing at that moment in time to raise up the frequency afterwards, after that healing process is done. You're not going to stay there. It's a stepping stone of a truth. It's a moment in time, and when your body is ready to let go of that, then it'll go to the next level. And this doesn't mean you're at a low level of your ascension or a high level. It's whatever is happening at that moment of time. Remember, it's a wave. It's a roller coaster. You may be suddenly eating vegan and vegetarian. You may be eating less meat. And craving more of a different diet. Those things can be happening. You might start to relate to food very different in an ecotarian way. So when you are buying your food, you are wanting to buy it in a glass and not in plastic. You're choosing to go make sure where it is sourced, is it sourced locally? Is it organic? Is it GMO free? Is there a big carbon footprint on it? Is it imported? Is there so much packaging and wrapping around it that is not great? So you might be slowly changing your relationship. And this is a process we're going through of change. So just the realization, just the understanding and knowing that's where we want to head towards, and we're not doing it yet, that's okay. Because 70% of the change is just that mental process. The doing it, that's the easy part afterwards. But once we really grasp it and really find our motivation and understanding, that's the biggest and hardest hurdle. Once we get that, then the change will come naturally in the right time. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to the process. We may be craving less food. We may be eating 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day, no meal a day. And that can, again, fluctuate during this roller coaster ride. We may notice that we are craving fasting, water fasting at different moments and times. We may notice again our relationship to food change. So we may be craving more raw foods in our diet, or going absolutely raw for a while and then not. We may be having lesser portions. Our portions may be changing, noticing that we don't need as much food anymore to give us the energy that we need. We may be noticing that we're craving food that is alive. We may be noticing that we can feel the frequency, the energy of food. So when you go into a store and you look around and there are multiple products in front of you, and you can feel like, ooh, my consciousness, my wanting is going towards product C instead of A and B. And why is that? Because either it is of better quality, either because the company itself who made that is more truthful, is doing the things properly. You'll see that many packages say, oh, it's organic and it's vegan and it's healthy. And if you actually read the label, it's not at all, because it's false advertisement. So sometimes when we see these different products, we are, attracted towards the most high vibrational. It may not even be, say, vegan and organic, but actually the way that product is produced is of more of a high vibration. So again, let go and surrender to your intuition, to your knowing, because there's a lot of false advertisement out there. Same companies are making organic and non-organic fruit or vegetables and selling both of them. Have you noticed they look exactly the same? Yeah, so choose what you're attracted to. Sometimes the food that doesn't have an organic label might be more high vibrational than the ones that do, because FDA is only 70% of organic food actually needs to be organic, and a lot of companies pay off for them to have the organic stamp, and a lot of farmers can afford to have that organic stamp, but that's how they produce their food. So, don't believe everything that you read. They're loving to slap vegan and gluten-free and all of these things and health onto everything. It's quite hilarious. Like there's a can of corn and it's like, oh, it's vegan. Yeah, should be vegan, it's corn. Like, so just really listen to yourself and don't believe everything that you read or that you see, but feel into the energy. So you might be feeling that more. You might be totally changing your food around and realizing, the lies and falsehood in the companies, what's happening with the GMO, what's happening with organic food, and just be nice to support local, smaller farmers who are doing their share. It's good also, perhaps some of you are relating to more, like to know exactly where the food is sourced, if you're eating meat, for example, know where it's sourced, where it comes from your butcher around the corner, from the farm around the corner. And if you can't afford or can't have, or it's not available, higher frequency food, we have the power within our hands, within our manifestation power, within giving food energy and blessing to increase the vibration of food. So I do energetical clearing and blessing, I suppose, or prayer, energy healing work, the changing of frequency of food before ever putting something into my mouth. It is a ceremony we're going through. It is the fuel that we're giving our body to do the things that we need to do. So it is beneficial to take the time to be with that food. So again, after this ascension process, when the frequencies start to level down a little bit more and there are not too many great peaks, then we will start to anchor in our food and dietary habits more on a steady flow level, Okay, so just have kindness and patience with yourself. What I want to add about food is like in Ayurveda, for example, they speak about when you're eating food, you're in silence. And why are we in silence? And so this is like a ceremony to your body. We take a moment to be with our food, to see our food, to smell our food with all of our senses. Once we see and smell food, our body is already preparing all the juices, the saliva that's needed for this physical process we're going through, which is putting energy into this energy body, into this vehicle, so that we can then go out and transmute that energy into creative, spiritual, sexual energy, right? So it's an important thing. It's a really important thing in the day. It's what makes us survive. So let's take the time. So that's why in Ayurveda and in many other cultures, especially native cultures, during feeding time, everybody's silent because we are with our food. We're tasting each bite. I know in Western society, food is such a social thing, but even if you can take the time to just be with the first 2 or 3 bites of your food and really taste it, appreciate it, before food, giving a moment of gratitude, a blessing, a gratitude that you have food, a blessing or a intention that one day maybe everybody can have such a beautiful meal in the world. A blessing, giving thanks to the farmers, giving thanks to the transport it took, to the cooks, to our body for all that it does, and opening a moment that we are absorbing this food and allowing all the nutrients to be absorbed to our body so that we may be of good use and live our purpose and live happily and gratefully. So those are the things we can change if we wish to, and that feels right for you, with our relationship with food. Yeah. So why is all of this happening? First of all, when we're dealing with denser situations, as I mentioned before, this could be emotional situations, it could be physical ailments we're going through, then we'll need denser food to heal during that moment in time. Like when we're sick, we want to eat, soups. We want to eat like chicken soup or heavier foods because we're going through a process, and that's just what we need at that moment in time. After that process, we can eat lighter food. Listen to your body, what it needs. Physical ailments are of denser, lower vibration. Thus, we will need that food. And this is a 2-part, actually. Because at the same time, to heal ourselves, we can use, sometimes we'll need lighter food, or actually more high vibrational food. For example, people who have cancer, we want to have a high alkaline diet, and through them having a higher alkaline diet, they can heal themselves, right? But maybe that high alkaline diet might still be of a denser form. Maybe it's not straight away all raw, right? And maybe in the beginning they need more cooked food, more denser, high alkaline food, and then they can get into the really light. But if they just go from one day to another eating, sprouts and salad and that's it might be really intense for their body. And that's why we got to check in with our body and what it wants and needs, because every person is unique and particular, right? There are many different roads to Rome. And so one thing that a lot of people talk about is, I thought if I eat higher vibrational food, I become more high vibrational. That's one. Or there's the other way, the flip side, we live in a dualistic universe. If I become more high vibrational, I will want to have more high vibrational foods within me, right? 2 ways. So that is 2 ways we can connect to the soul. We can connect to the soul by doing the physical part. For example, people who may have who are not so much on their soul path, and have been eating boxed food their whole life, cereals and canned soups, etc. Once they maybe change their diet, they will physically start to feel better, and that's when they're physically starting to feel better, their spirit is feeling better, their mind is working better, and after that process, at some point, they may be heading towards their soul path, and they will want to crave things of a higher vibration in the soul. So what got them there was changing in the physical level, their food habits. Now, some people may have started their journey working on the spirit. They just started to do more yoga, a bit of meditation, and started to change their life around. And once they started to do that, they noticed that they started craving more high vibrational foods. And started to clear the physical level and started to do a detox and cleansing, etc. Because they started at the spiritual level. So we have again, ascension trinity. We have the physical level, or material world, the spirit level, connected also to the mind. This is connected to the masculine, the feminine, and then we get to the soul level. So it doesn't really matter where you start, but eventually they are connected, and the one will heal and connect and balance with the other. So whether we start by changing our diet and our food, it will affect our spiritual growth and thus our soul path. Or whether we start at our spiritual growth and thus it will affect our physical relationship with food and our body and ourselves, and then we can hit and ascend to connecting to this, what our soul needs. It doesn't really matter where you start, we're all unique and different. Grounding. So another reason that we may be eating dense foods at moments of time is for grounding. We're receiving many different codes, ascensions, different processes we're going through, whether we're conscious or unconscious about it. And thus, to ground down those energies, we may be craving more denser food. And this can change, again, 1 week dense food to just one meal, or one day, or 1 month. As well, I've noticed when, also on a personal level, when I've been doing readings and healings together with other people, we tend to get very high, very up in higher vibrations, and after such a gathering, I notice that my body is really wanting some dense food, and a lot of food. I'm really hungry because it's been taking a lot of energy to get that high, and then my body's just like, wow, let's eat. Okay, so other reasons that what we may be going through this roller coaster ride of our relationship with food is that we may have old patterns we're releasing at this moment in time that is about self-destructive behavior in the past. So some of us may try to find love in food, comfort in food, or just knowing that eating a bunch of unhealthy food is kind of destructive behavior, like, ooh, in the past, or maybe still, we drink a lot of alcohol in a destructive behavioral way, and now we have replaced it with, unhealthy or chocolate or different foods. So that is something a process that we're healing. So be kind to yourself. Notice that. Another one is avoidancy habits. Just you don't feel like dealing with anything, or you want to be distracted from all of this new information, this purpose, your purpose, and all of this stuff. So you're gonna avoid the situation by eating and by having something to do, like a meal, something normal, something of this plane. which can be really healing at the moment. But if we overdo this, then we are totally avoiding what is at hand. So, these are things that you kind of dance, push and pull with as you're going through the releasing process or the healing process of these things. They can be a tool at one moment in time, and at the same time it can be, your greatest poison. And as we're letting go, again, it is this roller coaster ride. It is, the spiral. We keep on going through the same lessons and then fine-tuning every time. So another reason about this new connection to our diet is knowing. The lesson here is knowing yourself. Knowing, connecting to who you are, your body intelligence, your intuition, your higher self, connecting to that, knowing yourself, knowing what you really need at any given moment in time, and trusting that, having faith in that, knowing that if your higher self, or if you are having the intuition to have a certain food, that there is another intelligence working there, and trusting into that. Letting go of those limitations. I must eat 3 meals a day and it must be so many calories to function. No, that may have been in the past. We are changing. We are changing so rapidly, and the rules that applied 100 years ago don't apply for us now, because we are of a different consciousness. We are growing on a physical level, mental level, spiritual level. And, the consciousness that worked out for us 20 years ago is different than now. A year ago is different. A day ago is different. The ascension process is going so fast. So just letting go of that. And then it's the lesson here is also knowing what you need as a body and what you don't need. And that's a give and pull, right? Oh, I think I need spirulina, and then you overdid the spirulina, and now you know, oh, there's a balance point. I just need this little spirulina. But you had to go over the line to notice that. So it's like finding the place all the way in the dark, and finding the place on the light, and then finding your balance point in between that works for you, your dance in between the light and the dark. It's going to one extreme to the other extreme to know what the range is, and then finding your space, your particular unique place within that range that works for you at this given moment in time. That can change every moment, every day, every year. And that's why it's so useful to release ourselves from the boxes of I am a vegan, I am a meat eater, I am, we can carry on. I am a Christian, and I am a Buddhist, and I am a Dutch, and I am an American, and we are all human. We are all earthlings that are here in physical, in this physical world, and that's really what it comes down to. Future of food. So the future of food that I have been seeing and relating to is that as we're going forward, we will be needing little food to, at a point, to no food. We are able to receive food in different ways as our light bodies are being activated, as our frequencies are changing and are elevating. We are able to extract energy from prana, from air, from breath, from energy that's all around us, from energy from the sun, and many other things. So we are heading to a future eventually. For some it'll be sooner, for some it's later. It doesn't matter. That's no one's better or worse than, or higher or lower than. It's just their particular process at the moment in time. Away with monocrops. It makes me the saddest thing, all these monocrops, all these vegetables growing together, and it really, have you ever watched those movies where they're making all those human clones, those sci-fi movies? And for me, I don't know about you, but I get like a twist in my stomach, the disgust of it, how crazy that is, making all these clones. And we do the same with plants. We have all of these plants that were literally just growing right next to each other with no space, just like we're doing with the chicken in the big factories. And they're literally just being grown to be our food, to be our slave, to be fuel, with no respect to their life and their breath. And we may not all feel this way yet, but these are changes that we may be noticing in the future. So a future where there are no monocrops, where there are food forests, where we have respect for each plant, for the spirit of the trees, the spirit of the plants, the spirit of each individual organism, you know, whether it's animals, whether it's people, whether it's plants, whether it's a rock, everything is alive, everything has an essence. And as we're going through this ascension process, we'll notice this more and more. And we are craving more to live in harmony with all aspects of Mother Nature, including our food, including plants. One surprising change I came to a while back was sprouts. You know, everyone's eating these what do they call it? Micro sprouting, the little sprouts. And there was this beautiful guy, and he made these compostable boxes with soil in them and the little sprouts, and he sold them, and I was so impressed because I hadn't seen that before, and what a lovely thing. And it is very high vibrational food, but I also felt the spirit of those plants and each little sprout, and it was really sad because they live together in such a small little space, and on top of it, they're babies. They're basically little fetuses, little babies who haven't even grown a full life, and we're eating them. You know, once they're only in human years, let's say it's only 2 or 3 or 4 years old, and we're eating them. And it made me really sad because we're basically just growing them to be used, to be our slaves, to function for us, and I don't think that is harmonious to life, you know, just like how we fatten up pigs just for our consumption. Back in native times, in earlier times, we lived in harmony. We, you know, when we went hunting, we did it because at those times that's what our body needed: more denser food, more meats, and we were living in denser frequency times, and that's what was matching. We went hunting, but when we went hunting, we didn't kill all the animals. We just killed a certain amount, the amount that we needed to survive, and that was it. And we gave it with gratitude and thanks, and there was always like a ceremony or a prayer with it, and it was living in harmony. You know, they would give thanks to the spirit of the plant, of that animal, of the soul of the animal. It was different, and now we're just really just taking and taking and taking, and we're giving nothing back. Nothing back to Mother Earth, nothing back to the spirits that are keeping us alive. It's not a harmonious way of living. Oh, that makes me so sad. But I'm very excited because this is all changing right now, and it's exciting times. So what else? Yes, and what I see in farming in the future is not only more of food forests and away with the monocrops, but also asking permission for the fruit. If we are picking a fruit of this beautiful tree, we will be asking permission of the spirit of the tree to give that fruit to us, to give thanks and gratitude, and connecting more to the energetics and the spiritual side of things. Again, a lot of us may not be here now, and a lot of us may think this is all weird and different and crazy, but you may be noticing in the future your relationship changing. Again, our truth is changing really fast every day as we're going through this ascension process. What we're heading towards is a more coexisting life, coexisting with, again, Mother Nature in all forms, with all people, all races, all generations, all blood types, all animals, all beings of the earth, of the galaxy, all plants, all aspects of nature. Coexisting gives us the first steps towards a more peaceful, a more compassionate, a more loving life, a way of wisdom. So I think this is it for this video. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions or want clarifications, I'm so delighted and happy to respond. So please leave a message. I want to say thank you so much for everybody just leaving comments and tuning in with me. It's been so heartwarming and encouraging. So this information that I've been sharing is information that has been downloaded that I've received from Sirius and from Mother Earth. I'm so grateful to be sharing this with you, and grateful for all of those spirits and beings sharing that with me, and that's with us all. Have a beautiful day.